You know, there are moments in life that change you forever. Moments so painful, they carve themselves into your soul like words etched in stone. I've lived 87 years on this earth, and I thought I'd seen it all. I buried my husband 30 years ago. I survived the Great Depression as a child. I raised 3 children through joy and heartbreak. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the day my own daughter-in-law looked me in the eye, 3 days after we buried my son, and said, "You need to leave. This is my house now." Let me take you back to that moment, because even now, 2 years later, I can still feel the cold autumn wind that was blowing through the open front door. I can still see the hardness in her eyes, the way her perfectly manicured fingernails tapped against the doorframe as she waited for my answer. I can still hear the silence, that terrible, crushing silence, where my grandchildren's laughter used to fill the hallways. It was a Tuesday morning, October, just like now. The leaves were turning those beautiful shades of amber and crimson that my son Michael always loved. We'd just come back from the cemetery 3 days before. 3 days. That's all the time Christina, my daughter-in-law, gave me to grieve before she dropped the hammer. I remember I was in the kitchen, Michael's kitchen, the one I'd helped him paint a soft yellow 5 years ago when they first bought the house. I was making breakfast for my 2 grandchildren, Emma and Jack. Emma was 9, Jack was 6. They hadn't spoken much since their father died. They just sat at the table, pushing their scrambled eggs around their plates with lost looks in their eyes. Children shouldn't have to understand death so young, but life doesn't ask permission for tragedy. "Good morning, sweetheart," I said softly to Emma as I placed some fresh orange juice in front of her. She gave me a weak smile, and my heart broke all over again. She had her father's smile, Michael's smile. That's when Christina walked in. I should have known something was wrong by the way she entered the room. There was a sharpness to her movements, a kind of cold determination. She was dressed already, full makeup, hair done, wearing a black designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly pension. For 3 days, she'd been the picture of the grieving widow. Tears at the funeral, dramatic sobs at the graveside, clinging to the pastor's words about eternal rest. But that morning, the mask had slipped. "Kids, go upstairs and brush your teeth," she said, not even looking at them. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "But Mom, we haven't finished," Emma started. Now, they scurried away like frightened mice. That's when I knew. That's when my stomach dropped and that old grandmother's intuition, the one that had warned me about trouble for 8 decades, started screaming. Christina turned to face me. She crossed her arms over her chest and leaned against the counter. For a long moment, she just stared at me. I dried my hands on the dish towel, trying to keep my composure. "Is everything all right, dear?" I asked, even though I knew it wasn't. She laughed. It wasn't a warm laugh. It was sharp and bitter, like broken glass. "All right?" "No, Margaret, everything is not all right. My husband is dead, and I need to move forward with my life." "We all do, sweetheart," I said gently. "But we have to support each other. We're family. We need to—" "That's what I want to talk to you about," she interrupted. "This family, this house." She paused, and I could see her choosing her words carefully, like a lawyer preparing a closing argument. "You've been staying here for 2 weeks now, Margaret, and I think it's time you went back to your apartment." 2 weeks. My son had been sick for 6 months before he died. Cancer, the kind that comes fast and takes no prisoners. I'd moved in to help care for him, to cook meals, to sit by his bedside during those long, painful nights when Christina was too emotionally exhausted to keep vigil. I'd bathed my grown son when he became too weak to do it himself. I'd held his hand as the morphine took him to places where pain couldn't follow. I'd been the one who closed his eyes when he took his last breath. "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I just thought, with the children so upset and the funeral arrangements barely finished, I thought I might stay a bit longer, to help." Her eyes narrowed. "I don't need your help, Margaret." "I never did. Michael wanted you here, but Michael is gone." Those words, "Michael is gone," said so coldly, so matter-of-factly, like she was talking about a broken appliance that needed replacing. "Christina, please," I said, and I hate that my voice cracked. "I know you're grieving. I know this is hard, but those children upstairs just lost their father. They need stability. They need love. They need what they need." She cut me off again, her voice rising now, "is for their grandmother to stop interfering. What they need is for me to provide for them, which I can't do with you here, draining resources, taking up space, making everything about your grief." I felt like I'd been slapped. Draining resources? "Christina, I've been paying for groceries. I want you out by tomorrow," she said flatly. "Pack your things. I'll call you a taxi." "Tomorrow?" The room started spinning. "Christina, that's not... Where am I supposed to... You have an apartment, don't you? In that senior living complex downtown? Go back there. That's where you belong. I need to back up. I need you to understand how we got here, because this didn't happen overnight. This was years in the making, and I was too blind, or maybe too hopeful, to see it. My son Michael was my middle child. I had 3, Jennifer, my oldest, lives in Seattle with her wife and their adopted son. Thomas, my youngest, is a Marine stationed in Okinawa. And then there was Michael, my sweet, kind, gentle Michael. He was the one who stayed close, the one who called every Sunday, the one who remembered my birthday, who fixed my leaky faucet, who took me to my doctor's appointments when my arthritis got too bad to drive. Michael met Christina 12 years ago at a corporate conference. He was a financial advisor. She was in pharmaceutical sales. From the moment he brought her home to meet me, I knew she was different from the other girls he'd dated. She was beautiful, strikingly so, with thick auburn hair and green eyes that could cut through steel. She was confident, polished, successful, and she looked at my son like he was a prize she'd won. "Mom, she's amazing," Michael had said to me in my kitchen that first day, while Christina was in the bathroom. His eyes were shining. He was 32 years old and in love for the first time, really in love. "I think she might be the one." I hugged him tight. "If she makes you happy, sweetheart, then I'm happy." And I meant it. I really did. Because back then, I thought I was just being an overprotective mother when little warning bells went off in my head. I thought it was normal to feel a bit territorial when your child falls in love. I told myself I was being silly when I noticed how Christina's smile never quite reached her eyes, or how she'd steer conversation away whenever I asked about her family, or how she always seemed to be calculating something behind that beautiful face. They got married a year later. It was a beautiful wedding. Expensive, too. Christina's parents paid for most of it. They were wealthy, old money from Connecticut. Her father owned a chain of car dealerships. Her mother had never worked a day in her life. They looked at me at that wedding like I was the help, dressed in my best Sunday dress from J.C. Penney, while they wore designer everything. But I smiled through it. It was Michael's day. His happiness was all that mattered. The first few years seemed fine. They bought a nice house in the suburbs. Christina kept working, climbing the corporate ladder. Michael adored her. Then Emma came along, and I fell in love all over again. My first grandchild. I'll never forget holding that tiny baby. seeing Michael's eyes looking back at me from that precious little face. But that's when things started to shift. Christina stopped working after Emma was born, which was her choice, of course. But she became different, more demanding. The house wasn't big enough. Michael needed to work longer hours, bring in more money. They needed a newer car, a bigger backyard, private schools. "Mom, she just wants the best for Emma," Michael would say when I gently suggested maybe they were overextending themselves. "She didn't grow up like we did. She's used to a certain lifestyle." 3 years later, Jack was born, another beautiful grandchild. But the financial pressure got worse. Christina wanted a live-in nanny. She wanted luxury vacations. She wanted. And my gentle son worked himself to the bone trying to provide it all. I helped when I could. I babysat every week. For free, of course. I bought school supplies, birthday gifts, clothes when I could afford them. I cooked meals and brought them over in Tupperware containers. But Christina never seemed grateful. She seemed annoyed by my presence, like I was a reminder that her husband came from humble beginnings. "Margaret, you don't need to bring food," she'd say, not even inviting me in past the doorway. "We have everything we need." I just thought, "I know what you thought, but we're fine. I'll have Michael call you later." She started making excuses for why I couldn't see the grandchildren. They were busy with activities. They had play dates. They were tired. When I did visit, Christina would hover, monitoring every word I said, every game I played with Emma and Jack, like I was contaminating them somehow. Michael noticed. "Mom, I'm sorry," he said to me one afternoon about 5 years ago. We were having coffee, just the two of us, a rare occurrence. "Christina's just stressed. The kids are a lot of work, and I'm gone so much for work." "Michael," I said carefully, "are you happy?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he smiled. That forced smile children give their parents when they don't want them to worry. "Of course, Mom. I have everything I ever wanted. A beautiful wife, 2 amazing kids, a good career. I'm blessed." But his eyes told a different story. They were tired, worn down, like a man carrying a weight too heavy for his shoulders. Then, about 8 months ago, Michael called me on a Tuesday night. It was late, almost 10 p.m. That alone told me something was wrong. He never called that late. "Mom," his voice was shaking, "I need to tell you something." My heart stopped. "What is it, sweetheart?" "I have cancer. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. The doctors say, they say I have maybe 6 months to a year." The world ended right there. In my little apartment, holding the phone with trembling hands, I felt something inside me shatter. Not my son, not my Michael. The 6 months that followed were the hardest of my life. Harder than losing my husband, harder than burying my own parents. Because watching your child die goes against every natural law in the universe. Parents aren't supposed to outlive their children. It's wrong, it's cruel, it's a pain so deep that words can't touch it. Michael wanted to fight. He did chemotherapy, radiation, every experimental treatment his doctors suggested. I watched my strong, vibrant son wither away. His hair fell out, his skin turned gray. He lost 60 pounds. But through it all, he tried to stay positive. For the kids, for Christina, for me. "I'm going to beat this, Mom," he'd say, even when we both knew the truth. Christina, to her credit, played the devoted wife in public. At the hospital, she'd hold his hand. She'd post updates on social media about their brave journey and fighting together. She'd accept casseroles and condolences from neighbors with tearful grace. But behind closed doors, when she thought no one was paying attention, I saw the truth. I saw her impatience when Michael needed help to the bathroom. I heard her sighs when he asked for water in the middle of the night. I noticed how she spent hours on her phone, texting and scrolling, while her husband lay dying in the next room. "Christina," I said to her one afternoon, about 3 months before Michael died, "why don't you take a break? Go out with friends. I'll stay with Michael tonight." She looked at me with those cold green eyes. "I don't need a break, Margaret. I need my husband to get better." "We all do, dear. But you need to take care of yourself too. What I need," she said slowly, "is for people to stop telling me what I need." That was the moment I truly understood. Christina wasn't grieving the loss of her husband. She was grieving the loss of her lifestyle. Michael's illness meant no more income beyond his savings. It meant medical bills. It meant she had to actually cook and clean and care for her children without help. It meant her comfortable life was crumbling. I moved into their house 4 months before Michael died. He asked me to. "Mom, please," he'd said, his voice barely a whisper. "I need you here. Christina can't do this alone, and I want my kids to have time with you. I want them to have their grandmother." Christina fought it. Oh, how she fought it. "Michael, your mother can visit during the day. She doesn't need to live here. Please," he'd begged her. "Please, Christina. I'm dying. I need my mother." She'd agreed, but the resentment radiated off her like heat from asphalt. She put me in the smallest guest room, the one that barely fit a twin bed. She made it clear I was to stay out of her way. I was to follow her schedule, her rules, but I didn't care. I was there for my son. I cooked his favorite foods, chicken soup, mashed potatoes, apple pie, even though he could barely eat. I read to him when his eyes got too tired. I held his hand during the bad nights, when the pain was so intense he'd cry like a child. "I'm scared, Mom," he admitted to me one night, about a month before he died. Christina was asleep in their bedroom. Emma and Jack were asleep down the hall. It was just us in the dim light of his hospice bed that had been set up in the downstairs den. "I know, baby," I whispered, stroking his thin, cold hand. "I know. What's going to happen to my kids? To Emma and Jack?" His eyes filled with tears. "Mom, I'm worried about them. Christina, she loves them. I know she does. But she doesn't." "Shh," I soothed him. "I'll be here. I'll always be here for them. I promise you." He squeezed my hand with what little strength he had left. "Thank you. Thank you, Mom." 2 weeks before he died, Michael asked to speak to his lawyer. Christina threw a fit. "Michael, you don't need a lawyer. We've already done all the estate planning. Everything is in order." "I need to update some things," he insisted. "Please, Christina." "Call Robert." Robert Chen had been Michael's friend from college and his personal attorney. He came the next day, a kind man in his 40s with sympathetic eyes. He spent an hour alone with Michael in the den, door closed. When he left, he stopped to shake my hand. "Mrs. Patterson," he said quietly, "Michael asked me to give you my card. He said you might need it soon." I took the card, confused. "Need it? For what?" He just smiled sadly and left. Christina was furious that night. "What did you say to that lawyer? What did you discuss?" "It was private," Michael said weakly. "My final affairs." "I'm your wife. Nothing about your affairs should be private from me." "Christina, please," he begged. "I'm so tired." "Can we not fight?" She stormed out. I heard her on the phone in the kitchen, voice low and angry, though I couldn't make out the words. Later, I heard crying. Maybe she did love him in her way. Maybe she was just scared. I tried to give her grace. After all, she was losing her husband, young and unexpectedly. Michael died on a Sunday morning. It was peaceful, as much as death can be. I was holding one hand, Christina the other. Emma and Jack had said their goodbyes the night before. Michael didn't want them to see the actual moment. He just stopped breathing. One moment he was there, struggling for air, and the next, silence. Christina let out a wail that seemed to come from the depths of her soul. She collapsed onto his chest, sobbing. And in that moment, I felt sorry for her. I truly did. Whatever her faults, she'd just lost her husband at age 40. Her children's father was gone. The funeral was 3 days later. It was beautiful. Michael would have loved it. The church was packed with friends, colleagues, neighbors. People told stories about his kindness, his generosity, his gentle spirit. Christina gave a moving eulogy. She talked about their love story, their children, their dreams for the future that would never be. I sat in the front pew with Emma and Jack on either side of me, their little hands gripping mine like lifelines. My daughter Jennifer sat on my other side, having flown in from Seattle. Thomas was still overseas, unable to get leave. At the cemetery, as they lowered my son into the ground, Emma whispered, "Grandma, where did Daddy go?" "To heaven, sweetheart," I whispered back. "Where there's no more pain. Will we see him again?" "Yes, baby. One day, we'll all be together again." That was Tuesday. By Friday morning, Christina had kicked me out. Standing in that kitchen, hearing Christina tell me to leave, I felt something crack inside me. Not break entirely. I was too old and had survived too much to break completely. But crack, like a teacup that develops a fine line down its side, still functional, but forever damaged. "Please," I said, and I'm not ashamed to say tears were running down my face. "Please, Christina. Not like this. Let me at least stay until the weekend. Let me say proper goodbyes to Emma and Jack." "You can say goodbye now," she said, "and you can visit them. Eventually, when things settle down." "When things settle down," I repeated. "Christina, they just lost their father." "And they still have their mother," she snapped. "They don't need you confusing them, filling their heads with memories and sadness. They need to move forward. I'm their grandmother, and I'm their mother, and this is my house, and I want you out." Her voice had risen to a shout. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide with fear. "Mommy! Grandma! Why are you yelling?" Christina's face immediately softened. She was good at that, switching from fury to sweetness in a heartbeat. "Oh, baby, we're not yelling. Grandma and I are just having an adult conversation. Why don't you go watch TV in the playroom?" "Is Grandma leaving?" Emma asked, and her voice was so small, so scared. I opened my mouth to answer, but Christina cut me off. "Grandma has to go back to her own home, sweetie. But she'll visit soon, won't you, Margaret?" It was a threat, disguised as a question. She was making it clear, play along or you'll never see these children again. I swallowed my pride, my anger, my grief. "Of course, sweetheart. I'll visit very soon, I promise." Emma ran to me and wrapped her little arms around my waist. "I don't want you to go, Grandma. Please stay. Please." I held her tight, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, memorizing the feel of her small body against mine. "I love you so much, Emma. So much. You remember that, okay?" She nodded against my chest, crying now. Jack appeared too, and I held both of them, my heart shattering into a million pieces. Christina stood there watching, her face impassive, checking her watch like she had somewhere important to be. "Kids, that's enough," she finally said. "Say goodbye to Grandma now. She has to pack." The next hour was a blur. I packed my things, clothes, toiletries, a few photographs. My daughter Jennifer called. "Mom, what's happening?" "Christina just texted me saying you're leaving." "She wants me gone," I said simply. "There's nothing I can do." "Mom, you can come stay with me. I'll buy you a ticket right now. No, honey. You have your own life. I'll go back to my apartment. I'll be fine. But I wasn't fine. My apartment at Sunset Gardens Senior Living Complex was a small one-bedroom unit. I'd lived there for 5 years, ever since I'd sold the family home after my arthritis made stairs difficult. It was comfortable enough, clean, safe, with activities and community dinners. But it had never felt like home. Home was where my children were. Home was where Michael had been. I returned to find my apartment dusty and cold. I'd been gone for 4 months. My neighbor, Betty, a widow in her 80s, knocked on my door an hour after I arrived. "Margaret, you're back. How's your son doing?" The words caught in my throat. He passed away, Betty. Last week." Her face crumpled. "Oh, honey. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." She made me tea. She sat with me while I cried. She was there when I couldn't be strong anymore, when the grief finally overwhelmed me. That night, alone in my bed, I sobbed until I had no tears left. For my son, for my grandchildren, for the family that had been ripped apart. The next week, I tried to call Christina. It went to voicemail. I tried again the next day. Voicemail. I sent a text message. "Please let me know when I can see Emma and Jack. I miss them terribly." No response. I tried calling the house phone. It rang and rang. No answer. After a week of silence, I drove over. It was a 30-minute drive from my complex to their house. My hands shook on the steering wheel. When I pulled up to the house, Michael's house, the one with the yellow kitchen, Christina's car was in the driveway. I rang the doorbell, waited, rang again. Finally, the door opened, but only a crack. Christina's face appeared, annoyed. "What do you want, Margaret?" "I want to see my grandchildren. I haven't heard from you. I've been calling. We've been busy," she said curtly, processing, grieving, as a family. "I'm family too," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Please, Christina, just let me see them for an hour. Take them for ice cream. Something. Not today. We have plans." "When, then? This weekend?" She sighed dramatically. "I'll call you. Maybe next month." "Next month? Christina, that's 4 weeks." "I said I'll call you," she snapped and shut the door in my face. I stood there on the porch, staring at that closed door, and I felt something inside me harden. Not anger exactly, though there was that too, but determination. I wouldn't let her erase me from those children's lives. I wouldn't let my son's memory fade because his widow wanted a fresh start. I called my daughter Jennifer that night. "Mom, you need to get a lawyer," she said. "Look up grandparents' rights in your state. You might be able to petition for visitation." "I don't want to go to war with her," I said. "She's grieving, too." "Mom, she kicked you out 3 days after the funeral. She's not answering your calls. She's keeping your grandchildren from you. That's not grief. That's cruelty." Maybe Jennifer was right, but I was 87 years old, living on a modest pension and Social Security. I couldn't afford a legal battle. So I waited. I sent cards to Emma and Jack every week, cheerful ones with stickers and little notes. I sent birthday gifts. I sent Christmas presents. I don't know if they ever received them. 2 months passed. Then 3. Christina never called. I tried driving over twice more, but no one answered the door. I saw Emma once, playing in the front yard. I called her name, and she looked up, her face lighting up, but Christina appeared instantly, hustled her inside, and glared at me from the window. I started volunteering more at the senior center to keep myself busy. I joined a book club, a knitting circle. I tried to build a life, to move forward. But every night, I looked at the pictures on my nightstand. Michael as a baby, as a teenager, on his wedding day, holding his newborn daughter. and I grieved all over again. Then, 4 months after Michael died, I received a letter. It was from Robert Chen, Michael's attorney. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Dear Mrs. Patterson," it read, "I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to inform you that the formal reading of Michael Patterson's will has been scheduled for January 15th at 2 p.m. at my office. Your presence is required as you are named in the will. Please confirm your attendance at your earliest convenience. Christina Patterson has been notified separately." I stared at that letter for a long time. Michael had left me something in his will. But what? He'd always been so generous, even when he didn't have much. Maybe he'd left me a few $1,000s, or some personal items, his father's watch, perhaps, or some photographs. The reading was 3 weeks away. I confirmed my attendance with Robert's office, and then I waited, not knowing that my entire life was about to change. January 15th dawned cold and gray. I woke up at 5 a.m., unable to sleep, my stomach churning with anxiety. I hadn't seen Christina in 4 months. I hadn't seen Emma or Jack. For all I knew, they'd forgotten about me entirely. I dressed carefully. A navy blue dress, my good wool coat, the pearl earrings my late husband had given me on our 25th anniversary. I wanted to look dignified, like a woman who hadn't fallen apart, even though inside I was still broken. Robert Chen's office was downtown, on the 3rd floor of a historic brick building. I arrived early, at 1:45 p.m., and sat in the waiting room, my purse clutched in my lap. At 1:58, the door opened and Christina walked in. I barely recognized her. She'd changed her hair, lighter now, with expensive highlights. She wore a black Chanel suit that must have cost thousands and designer sunglasses pushed up on her head. She looked like she'd just come from a spa, not from 4 months of grief. Her eyes landed on me, and her mouth tightened. "Margaret." "Christina," I said quietly. "How are Emma and Jack?" "They're fine." She sat down across from me, as far away as possible. "They're with a babysitter. I've been trying to reach you. I got your messages, and your cards, and your gifts." She pulled out her phone, clearly done with the conversation. "Did the children receive them?" She looked up, and for the first time, I saw something like guilt flicker across her face. Just for a second. "They've been busy with school and activities." That wasn't an answer, but before I could press further, Robert Chen appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Patterson, thank you for coming. Please, follow me." We walked down a hallway lined with law books and into a conference room. It had a large mahogany table, leather chairs, and a view of the city. Robert gestured for us to sit. Christina took the head of the table. I sat to the side, feeling small and old. Robert opened a leather folder and pulled out several documents. "First, let me say again how sorry I am for your loss. Michael was a good man and a good friend." Christina nodded, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, though I didn't see any actual tears. "Now, let's proceed with the reading of the will." Michael was very specific about his wishes, and he updated this document 2 weeks before his death, as you both know. He looked at Christina, who shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "The will is quite detailed, so I'll summarize the key points first, then we'll go through the specifics. Michael's estate consists of his life insurance policy, $2 million, his 401k and retirement accounts totaling approximately $400,000, his half of the marital home valued at $350,000, and some additional investments and savings accounts totaling about $150,000. In total, we're looking at an estate worth approximately $2.9 million. I blinked. I'd known my son was doing well, but I hadn't realized he'd accumulated so much. Christina leaned forward, her eyes sharp with interest. Now, for the distribution, Robert continued. He looked at Christina. Mrs. Patterson, Michael has specified that you are to receive $200,000 as a direct inheritance, along with full ownership of the family vehicle and all household furnishings. Christina's face went white. What? 200,000? That's it? What about the house, the life insurance, his retirement accounts? Robert held up a hand. If you'll let me finish, Mrs. Patterson. She sat back, her jaw clenched, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. Robert turned to me. Mrs. Margaret Patterson, you are the primary beneficiary of Michael's estate. You will receive the $2 million life insurance payout, the full retirement accounts, and full ownership of the marital home. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table. What? No, that can't be right. The house is Christina's. The money should go to the children. I'm not finished, Robert said gently. There are conditions. Christina exploded out of her chair. Conditions? What conditions? This is insane. That's my house. I live there. My children live there. He can't just give it all to his mother. Mrs. Patterson, please sit down, Robert said firmly. Michael anticipated your reaction, which is why he asked me to record a video message explaining his decisions. Would you like to watch it? Christina and I both stared at him. A video message? From Michael? Robert pulled out a laptop, opened it, and turned it toward us. This was recorded 2 weeks before Michael passed away. I'll give you both privacy. Please watch it in full, then I'll return to answer your questions and review the rest of the details. He left the room. Christina and I sat in stunned silence, staring at the frozen image on the screen. Michael, gaunt and pale, sitting in his hospice bed, but with clear eyes and a gentle smile. Robert must have pressed play remotely, because suddenly Michael's voice filled the room. Hi, Mom. Hi, Christina. If you're watching this, it means I'm gone, and you're at the reading of my will. I know this is hard. I know you're both probably shocked by what Robert just told you. So let me explain. He coughed, and I saw him wince in pain. Every instinct in me wanted to reach through that screen and hold him, ease his suffering. Christina, he continued, looking directly at the camera, I loved you. I want you to know that. For 12 years you were my wife, the mother of my children, my partner. But I'm not blind. I haven't been blind for a long time. Christina went rigid beside me. I know about the credit cards you opened in my name. I know about the $80,000 you spent on jewelry, clothes, and vacations that we couldn't afford. I know you've been planning to divorce me for 2 years. I found the lawyer's consultation paperwork in your car last year. You stayed because my income supported your lifestyle, and then I got sick, and you stayed because divorce looks bad for a woman with a dying husband. A tear rolled down my cheek. Oh, Michael, he'd known and suffered in silence. I also know, he continued, his voice harder now, that you've been seeing someone. A man named Derek from your old company. I know you told Mom you loved me, but I heard you on the phone with him, planning your future together. As soon as Michael's gone, you said, we can finally be together. Christina's face had gone from white to red. This is slander, she hissed. He was on drugs. Pain medication. He didn't know what he was saying. Shh, I said, my eyes fixed on the screen, on my son's face. I forgive you, Christina, Michael said. I'm too tired and too close to the end to carry anger. But I won't let you use my death as a payday for a life that doesn't include my mother or my children's best interests. The $200,000 I'm leaving you is generous, more than generous considering. But the rest goes to my mom, with conditions designed to protect what matters most: Emma and Jack. He looked directly at the camera, and I felt like he was looking at me. Mom, I'm leaving you everything because I trust you. I trust you to do the right thing. Here are my wishes. First, the house. You are the legal owner, but I want Emma and Jack to grow up in that house. It's their home. They've already lost their father. They shouldn't lose their home too. So here's what I'm asking. Christina can continue to live in the house, rent-free, as long as she follows certain conditions. If she breaks these conditions, she forfeits her right to live there, and you can ask her to leave. I glanced at Christina. She was shaking with rage, but her eyes were locked on the screen. The conditions are these. 1. Mom has unlimited visitation rights with Emma and Jack. She can see them whenever she wants, take them on outings, have them sleep over. Christina cannot interfere with this relationship or speak poorly of Mom in front of the children. 2. Christina must maintain appropriate parenting. If there's any evidence of neglect, substance abuse, or inappropriate partners around my children, Mom has the right to intervene. 3. Christina must remain employed or actively seeking employment within 6 months of my death. The $200,000 should be used wisely for her future and any emergency needs for the kids, but she needs to support herself. I've worked too hard to enable someone who won't contribute. 4. If Christina remarries or cohabitates with a partner, Mom will reassess the living situation with an independent mediator present. If these conditions are met, Christina can live in the house until Emma turns 18, 9 more years. At that point, the house will be sold and the proceeds split between Emma and Jack for college or their future. The life insurance money, Mom, is yours to use as you see fit. Live comfortably, travel if you want, but I also hope you'll set aside some for Emma and Jack's education. I know you will. You've always put family first. The retirement accounts are also yours. You've lived modestly your whole life, sacrificing for your kids. Now it's time to enjoy some security and comfort. You've earned it, Mom. God knows you've earned it. He paused, coughed again, his face contorting in pain. Then he smiled, that beautiful, gentle Michael smile. To both of you, I hope you can find peace. I hope you can put aside whatever anger or resentment this creates, and remember that 2 innocent children need stability and love. They need their grandmother's wisdom and kindness, and they need their mother to step up and be the parent I always hoped she could be. Mom, I love you. Thank you for everything, for every sacrifice, every prayer, every moment of love you've given me. You are the reason I knew how to be a good father. You are the reason I have faith in goodness. Take care of my babies, please, and take care of yourself. Christina, I hope you find happiness. I hope you learn that love isn't about what someone can provide for you. It's about what you're willing to give. I hope you become the mother our children deserve. That's all. Robert will handle the legal details. Please don't fight this. Please honor my last wishes. I'm tired and I'm ready to rest. I love you both. Goodbye. The screen went black. The silence in that room was deafening. I sat there, tears streaming down my face, my heart bursting with love and breaking with grief all at once. My son, my beautiful, wise, brave son. Even in death, he was protecting his children and protecting me. Christina stood up so violently her chair fell backward. This is bullshit. Complete bullshit. He was medicated. He wasn't thinking clearly. I'm contesting this will. I'm calling my lawyer right now. Robert Chen walked back into the room at that moment, as if he'd been waiting just outside the door. "Mrs. Patterson, you are certainly within your rights to contest the will. However, I should inform you that Michael anticipated this possibility. He was evaluated by 2 independent physicians the day before recording that video. Both assessed him as being of sound mind and body, fully capable of making legal decisions. Their reports are part of the will documentation. Additionally, Michael provided evidence of the financial discrepancies he mentioned: credit card statements, canceled checks, bank records showing purchases made without his knowledge. He also provided text message records between you and the individual he mentioned, Derek Simmons." Christina's face cycled through shock, rage, and fear. "He was spying on me?" "While he was dying, he was spying on me. He was protecting his assets and his children," Robert said calmly. "You can contest this will if you choose. But I'll be honest with you, you won't win. The evidence is substantial, the witnesses are credible, and Michael's wishes are clearly stated. If you do contest it, the process will be expensive, time-consuming, and public. All of this information will come out in court. Is that really what you want?" She stared at him, her chest heaving. Then she turned to me, and the hatred in her eyes made me flinch. "This is your doing. You poisoned him against me. You turned my own husband against me." I found my voice, stronger than I expected. "No, Christina. Your choices did that. Michael loved you until the end. He forgave you in that video. But he also knew the truth, and he wasn't going to let his children suffer for your selfishness." Selfishness. I gave him 12 years of my life. I gave him 2 children. I nursed him through cancer. "You gave him debt and betrayal," I said quietly. "And you didn't nurse him. I did. I was the one who held his hand at 3 a.m. I was the one who bathed him when he couldn't do it himself. I was the one who sat with him when he was scared. Where were you, Christina? On your phone, planning your future with another man." She had no answer for that. She grabbed her purse, her hands shaking. "Fine, fine. You want the house? You want to control my life? You can have it. But mark my words, Margaret, you'll regret this. You'll regret humiliating me like this." "Christina," I said, and I was surprised by how calm I felt. "I don't want to control your life. I want what Michael wanted, for his children to be loved and cared for, that's all. If you can do that, if you can put Emma and Jack first, then we can make this work. For their sake." She laughed bitterly. "Make this work? You just took everything from me. I took nothing. Michael made these choices, and he left you with $200,000, more than enough to start over if that's what you want. But if you want to stay in that house, if you want to keep your family together, then you'll follow the conditions. It's your choice." She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see her calculating, weighing her options. Finally, she spoke, her voice icy. "I'll stay. I'll follow your precious conditions. But not because of you. Because that house is worth at least $700,000, and in 9 years when it sells, my children will get their share. I'm not walking away from that." "That's fine," I said. "Whatever your reasons, as long as Emma and Jack are cared for." She stormed out without another word, leaving me alone with Robert. I sank into my chair, suddenly exhausted. "Robert, I don't want her money. I don't want to own her house. I just want to see my grandchildren." He smiled kindly and sat down across from me. "I know, Mrs. Patterson. Michael knew that too, but this was the only way he could ensure it. Christina wouldn't have let you see Emma and Jack without legal protection. You know that. This way, she has to. And this way, you have the resources to provide for them if needed." $2 million, I whispered. "I never imagined I don't need that much money." then use it to help others. Use it to make your son proud, but also use it to live comfortably, Margaret. You're 87 years old. You've spent your whole life taking care of other people. Michael wanted you to finally take care of yourself, too. I cried then, really cried. For Michael, for the grandchildren I'd missed so much, for the relief of knowing I could see them again, for the overwhelming weight of my son's love, reaching out from beyond the grave to protect me. Robert let me cry. Then he handed me tissues and walked me through the rest of the documents. Signatures, account transfers, legal proceedings. It would take a few weeks for everything to be finalized, but the will was ironclad. That night, back in my little apartment, I called Jennifer. Mom, how did it go? I told her everything, the video, the money, the conditions, Christina's rage. Jennifer was silent for a long moment. Then she said, Michael was an amazing man, Mom. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Christina would cut you off, so he made sure she couldn't. He took care of you, even in death. I miss him so much, I whispered. I know, Mom. I know, but he's still taking care of you. He's still protecting you. That's love, Mom. That's real love. 2 days later, I received a text from Christina. You can visit Emma and Jack on Saturday at 2 p.m., 2 hours. My hands shook as I typed back, thank you. I'll be there. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. I woke early, unable to sleep from excitement and nerves. I bought Emma's favorite cookies, chocolate chip with walnuts, and a new Lego set for Jack. At 1:45, I drove to the house, my heart pounding. Christina opened the door before I could even knock. She looked tired and older than her 40 years. 2 hours, she said flatly. They're in the living room. I walked past her, and there they were. Emma and Jack sitting on the couch, looking uncertain and a little scared. 4 months. It had been 4 months since I'd seen them. Grandma! Emma jumped up and ran to me, and I caught her in my arms, breathing her in. Jack followed, and I held them both, crying and laughing at the same time. I missed you, I said. I missed you both so much. We missed you too, Emma said. Mom said you were busy, that you couldn't visit. I glanced at Christina, who had the decency to look away. Well, I'm here now, sweetheart, and I'm going to visit a lot more. I promise. We spent 2 hours together. We baked cookies. We played games. We talked about school and friends and their father. Emma cried when she talked about missing Michael. I dream about him sometimes, Grandma. Is that weird? Not at all, baby, I said, stroking her hair. That means he's watching over you. That means he's still with you, in your heart. When I left, both kids hugged me tight. Can you come back next week, Grandma? Jack asked. Absolutely, I said, looking at Christina. I'll be back next Saturday. Same time. She nodded curtly. Fine, that was 2 years ago. Today, as I sit here in my apartment, a bigger one now with 2 bedrooms so Emma and Jack can sleep over, I think about how much has changed. I see my grandchildren every week, sometimes twice a week. I take them to the park, to museums, to the movies. We bake together. We read together. I help with homework and attend school plays. Emma is 11 now. Jack is 8. They're growing up so fast, and I treasure every single moment with them. Christina and I have reached an uneasy truce. We're not friends. We'll never be close. But we're civil for the children's sake. She did get a job, working in medical sales again. She's good at it, apparently, and making decent money. The mysterious Derek disappeared from her life. Or maybe she just got better at hiding him. I don't ask. It's not my business as long as she's following the conditions. She's actually become a better mother, I think. Maybe it was the wake-up call of losing control. Maybe it was the reality of having to stand on her own 2 feet. Or maybe deep down, she did love Michael, and she's trying to honor his memory by being the parent he hoped she'd be. I'd like to think it's that last one. As for the money, oh, that blessed, overwhelming money. I set up education trusts for Emma and Jack. They'll have full college tuition covered, no matter where they want to go. I donated to the cancer research center that tried to save Michael. I gave substantial gifts to my other children and my grandson in Seattle. I paid off my final debts and bought that bigger apartment so the kids could visit comfortably. And yes, I did something for myself too. I took Jennifer and her family on a cruise to Alaska, something I'd always dreamed of but never thought possible. I upgraded my old, beaten-up car to a reliable sedan. I joined a senior fitness class and got hearing aids that actually work. I'm living comfortably for the first time in my life, without worrying about every penny. But none of that, none of the money, or the security, or the comfort, matters as much as Saturday mornings with Emma and Jack. As much as hearing Jack call me on the phone just to tell me about a good grade on a test. As much as Emma confiding in me about her first crush, her worries, her dreams. Michael gave me the greatest gift. He gave me back my family. People sometimes ask me if I feel guilty for taking Christina's house, for accepting so much money when she got so little. And honestly, no, I don't, because I didn't take anything. Michael gave it to me. He made a choice based on truth and love and his desire to protect his children. Was it harsh? Maybe. Was it fair? I think so. Christina had options. She could have been faithful. She could have lived within their means. She could have appreciated what she had instead of always wanting more. She could have treated me with kindness instead of contempt. She made her choices, and choices have consequences. But here's what I've learned in my 87 years, through all the joy and heartbreak and unexpected twists. Life isn't about money. It's not about houses or cars or designer clothes. It's about love. It's about the people who show up when things get hard. It's about the grandmother who drives 30 minutes every Saturday to bake cookies with her grandchildren. It's about the son who, even in his final days, thought about how to protect his mother and his babies. That's what matters. That's what lasts. Emma asked me recently, "Grandma, do you think Daddy knows we're okay? That we still remember him?" I looked at her beautiful face, so much like Michael's, and I smiled through my tears. Oh, sweetheart. He knows. Every time you're kind to someone, every time you work hard in school, every time you hug your little brother, he knows. He's so proud of you. And yes, baby, he knows you remember him. Love like that doesn't die. It lives on in us. She hugged me then, and I held her close, thinking about my son and all the ways his love continues to ripple through our lives. You know, when you get to be my age, you realize that life is long and complicated and full of surprises. Some wonderful, some terrible. You lose people you love. You face betrayals you never saw coming. You watch your children suffer, and there's nothing you can do but hold their hand and pray. But you also discover strength you didn't know you had. You learn that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up. It's about who stays. It's about who fights for you, even from beyond the grave. Michael fought for me. He fought for his children. And in doing so, he taught me one final lesson. That love, real love, is both fierce and tender. It protects. It provides. It endures. So if you're listening to this story and you're going through something hard, if someone has betrayed you or shut you out or tried to erase you from the lives of people you love, don't give up. Keep showing up, keep fighting, Keep loving. Because truth has a way of coming to light, and love has a way of winning in the end. And if you're someone who has power over others, if you're a daughter-in-law or son-in-law, a step-parent or guardian, please remember that the elderly people in your life aren't burdens. We're not obstacles to your happiness or your plans. We're grandparents, parents, human beings who have loved and sacrificed and earned our place in the family. Treat us with kindness. Let us love the children we helped raise. Because one day, you'll be old too, and you'll want someone to remember you. You'll want someone to show up. I'm 87 years old now. I don't know how many years I have left. Could be 1, could be 10. But I know this. I'll spend every remaining day loving my grandchildren, honoring my son's memory, and living with gratitude for the unexpected gifts life has given me. The house will sell when Emma turns 18. The money will go to the kids for their future. Christina will move on to whatever life she chooses. And me? I'll be here in my cozy apartment with pictures of my family on every wall, waiting for Saturday morning and the sound of my grandchildren's laughter. Because in the end, that's what matters. Not who was right or wrong, not who got the house or the money, but love. Always love. Michael knew that, and now, so do I. Thank you for listening to this old woman's story. I hope it brought you something. Comfort, maybe, or hope, or just the knowledge that you're not alone in your struggles. Life is hard. Family is complicated. But love, real, true, sacrificial love, that's what gets us through. God bless you all. And remember, keep showing up, keep loving, keep fighting for what matters. Because you never know when life will surprise you. You never know when a reading will change everything. You never know when justice will finally arrive, delivered by the one person who loved you enough to protect you, even in death. My son gave me back my life. Now I'm living it fully, gratefully, joyfully, for him, for my grandchildren, and for myself. And that, my dear friends, is the greatest gift of all.